What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the part 3 of a story where Issei came back and went against the Gremorys. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 3. The Gears territory, 11:30 PM. Everyone including the two Issei alternates were seated alongside them. Sikvara was explained by Surziches that the two Isseis were alternates of their Issei hailing from a different Earth. The leaders looked at their pillars' alternate selves. While the angels were on the edge because of the armored Issei's presence due to his darkened aura unlike the older ones. However, they recognized the two to be dragon gods. Office also recognized her power that was present inside of their bodies. So we would ask you some questions. Hope you don't mind. The older Issei looked at Jade, who was shifting in nervousness as that Issei spoke. We also have some questions. We all were brought here by a portal that came out of nowhere. The older Issei spoke as he continued, we all were minding our own business when the portal sucked us here, and we were powerless to stop it. Yep, I was working on my latest sacred gears, and this is what happened. Many took note on what the armored Issei was speaking, which meant that the mechanical wings were his creation. However, that was not important. The Isseis were brought here, and how they were brought here was something they had to know. Was the portal colorful and glitchy? Jade asked, a bit nervous, as both Issei nodded in agreement, with armored Issei even speaking. I haven't seen a portal like that in my life. It belonged to none of the supernatural magic I am familiar with. Then that confirms our answer. Ajuka spoke seriously as he looked at the two Isseis, with the older Issei speaking in response. So we are really in a different universe. Now it makes sense why those from Remnant are here. The older Issei spoke with an understanding tone, with many from Remnant wondering whether this Issei has met their counterparts or not. The armored Issei then spoke, yeah, you are right on that one. We all were brought from different universes, but how? The only way to do that is to break the source wall and then enter a different universe, but the older Issei brought out his boosted gear and was surprised to see the wall to be never damaged. This was a spell he had created to check for any breaches in the source wall, and it seemed like it worked for different universes as well too. It is not destroyed. Which is a surprise. The ones from Issei's worlds were confused as Azazel asked. Source wall. What is that? The older Issei looked at him and spoke, it is the boundary that keeps two universes from combining. Think of it as an unbreakable border of the universe, but that is a story for another time, so why did you even bring us here? Like for what reason? The older Issei looked at Jade, Ajuka and Azazel as they decided to speak the truth. It was because of the Khaos Brigade. They attacked us during the presentation of the Super Collider, a device that can bring objects from different dimensions, and I guess, different timelines. Both Isseis looked at Jade, she was the one that brought them here. As Ajuka continued, we were planning for timeline travels, but with the Khaos Brigade attacking us and destroying the Collider was what caused a chain reaction that brought the two of you here. I see, Lord Beelzebub. The older sister spoke, as the other one responded, so that is how you brought us here, Ajuka. The armored Issei's voice seemed to be a bit disrespectful as opposed to the other, making them wonder what had happened with this Issei. Azazel also noted one thing, plus, I did see 8 more lights coming out from the Collider and the conference hall when it exploded. That means with these two alternates of myself, there are 6 others out there. This can be an issue. Surziches spoke worried, as Issei added. Yeah, with many others that have the same name, sound and look like me, I don't want to fall into a trouble, or worse be a criminal. Issei spoke with dread in his voice, as Surziches spoke in an assuring tone. Don't worry Issei, we will fix this, we will locate all those and send them home. Surziches looked at Jade and asked, how long will it take to create the Collider? It took me a few months to create the original one, with several tests and failures. I still have the data, so it should take less time. Surziches nodded to Jade's words and gave a smile. There is no rush, you can take your time. Jade nodded in understanding, as the armored Issei looked at them and thought. They seem to be nothing like my counterparts. With my counterpart being the pillar, I doubt that they are like my Surziches or my faction leaders. The armored Issei noted Riaz and her peerage being absent, which was a good thing, since she was a headache, and perhaps this was true in this universe. Perhaps, I can be the one that will help you, and make your job quicker. An entity announced. The guests present felt a suffocating aura that almost brought the low-class beings to their knees, and the rest on the edge. Even the other Isseis were weary of this presence. They all rushed outside, only to see a figure that was completely red. His mere presence even made Office fearful of his as he could see him. He looked like a black armored with eyes and a grin, surrounded by a corona of black lightning. He had a presence of a true demonic being, which was incomprehensible. The being that they were witnessing were far stronger than anyone they knew. He towered over them, easily being 50 meters in height. So you mind if I join your batch, faction leaders? the entity spoke with a grin, as the people present did not know who he was. Issei looked at his counterparts who were also concerned about him. Who even are you? And why have you come to this place? Surziches spoke with a serious tone, however internally he was nervous, given the power the entity radiated, he had to protect his faction, as the entity crouched to his level. I am here for a talk, and I know exactly what is going to happen. After all. The entity points towards the Issei's present as he spoke, I am an alternate of your pillar. No way. Many mused in disbelief, the one that was in front of them was another version of Issei, he was much stronger than the Issei they knew him to be, as the entity introduced themselves. My name is Zalgo, but I was once known as Isseiverse, or just Issei, it is a pleasure to meet most of you present. Zalgo spoke with a grin, as he looked at them, they all knew this was the mythical Zalgo, also nicknamed the one that ends universes, he was an alternate of Issei, that was just impossible. Let me transform into a more human-like form, since you all are clearly intimidated by my presence. Zalgo soon transformed into his more human-like form, he was described to be a charming man. He has fair skin, amber eyes with yellow diamond-shaped pupils and red eyeliner on the lower lids of his eyes, and mostly short dark brown hair, with a longer fringe on the right side of his face and amber tips. There is one section of his hair on the back of his head that is waist length instead of being cut short. He wore 2 earrings and a 3-piece suit which consisted of a white shirt, a black waistcoat and a regular coat which was open. He wore black pants and black shoes. He had an graceful yet potent aura surrounding him. Greetings faction leaders of this universe. Zalgo looks towards the 2 Isseis and speaks, my counterparts. Shall we have this conversation inside, gentlemen? Zalgo spoke as Surziches walked forward and responded, as you wish, Zalgo. Scene change. The people all settled down inside the Ager's mansion, as Auden asked with a serious tone, so all 3 of you are alternates of Issei, or in Zalgo's case, once was Issei, right? Yes. All 3 Isseis spoke in unison, as Auden nodded in understanding. Yusaka then asked, so can you 3 tell more about yourselves? The 3 looked at each other and nodded, alright, but this will be a long explanation. In the background, 4 book covers can be seen dropping altogether. The first being a poster for Reset Issei where it shows him in the middle and everywhere around here are 7 soul traits and the factions including the monsters standing beside him. The second is the one that showed Issei and Yuri fighting against Hate. John. The third is Concept Issei, it's him alongside his droid factions, with his prime generals Malak and Nyx. The fourth is Zalgo, and the poster is himself on the thorn and giving off an evil and menacing smile. My name is Isseiverse. Both Reset Issei and Concept Issei spoke as Zalgo then spoke, I am Zalgo, I no longer go by my former name Isseiverse. I was killed by Raynor and eventually awoke being the Red Dragon Emperor. Zalgo. Reset Concept Issei spoke with unison as the flashbacks of Raynor throwing the light spear was thrown into their Reset Isseis, Concept Isseis and Zalgo. Issei's abdomen as he was being laid dead, with their Rias watching them. I worked for the factions and loved the girls of my harem, until I was betrayed by most of them, which consisted of Ria's Gremorys and most of her peerage and Orc, with Irina who cheated on me with their boyfriends. Reset Issei spoke with a sigh, as flashbacks of Issei witnessing his girls cheat on him were being shown, as he continued, almost died from Dragon's Fall, but found someone that had helped me recover, and was forced to reset the timeline, with my friends watching over me. Flashbacks of Reset Issei talking to his universes Trahixa and Chara as they agree to work together, with this Issei vowing to never be betrayed. As for me, I decided to turn my back on the factions, for you see they never treated me well. I hated being a fool because I have 2 younger siblings that were assholes to me, with my brother being Dai, who made my life as miserable as possible. Concept Issei spoke with an annoyed tone as flashbacks showed of Dai taking credit, and many saw him as a hero, many saw Issei as a villain. He soon walks away with anger. After that, the droid faction was being built as they demanded my help. I refused to help them, and walked away much to their anger. Flashback of Concept Issei looked towards the factions and spoke coldly and mockingly, not my monkeys, not my circus. Well, during my confrontation with my Raynor, it was revealed that Rias orchestrated my death. I snapped and lost control, refusing to ever let myself be corrupted by them ever again. I went back home and made a deal with Zalgo after learning I was his reincarnation. I made sure to restore the demon faction. Flashbacks of Zalgo. Issei meeting his previous incarnation and accepting his deal, but not before dealing with his sister Masami and avoiding his parents. He refuses to be like his old self. So wait a minute, all of you were killed by your Raynor, Summer asked with a tone of surprise, to which all 3 Isseis nodded in agreement, with Reset Issei speaking. Yep, but after the reset, some events caused her to completely turn a 360 degree in terms of personality. Jade looked at Reset, skeptical to believe that a monster like Raynor will become better, as she spoke. I doubt it. Reset Issei looked at her and spoke, no, trust me, she does get better. These all Isseis were killed by their universe's reigners. I am truly surprised by how common it is, even across several timelines. Azazel thought with interest as he knew that was how they were introduced to their universe's supernatural world and became the way they are. While some were confused on Reset Raynor actually being good, this included those that had a run-in with her in the backrooms. Serziches, can we convince them to side with us? Seraphil asked seriously and with worry knowing their pasts as he responded. I can only hope so. Serziches hope the absolute best case scenario where they will be helping them. Getting back to my story. Reset Issei spoke with a smile, post-reset, many things change. I have an adoptive sister named Chara, and she is at least better than your siblings, I can assure you that. Concept Issei responded, I will see to that. Anyways, for me I did the events that have happened in my life, but on my own terms, I found new lovers, and moved on from the ones that cheated on me, focused on my life, and made things better. I had to fight the Khaos Brigade to achieve that, including a certain Rizevim Livan Lucifer who was a problem in both the timelines. I made sure to kill him permanently this time. Then I settled down with my family and had a peaceful existence with my loved ones. Reset Issei spoke with a smile, as he remembered his family that was at home. Reset Issei can be seen alongside Raynor and Asia making sure they are well trained. He knew the Raynor of his world was different. He eventually beat Sona in chess, as she became his fiancée. He then reunited with Roswis and Kuroka, and finally Yasaka and Seraphil confessed their love later on. The scene changes to him fighting against the vampires, Hero Faction, Khaos Brigade, Klipith, Gaia and finally Rizevim himself and Clone Trahexa, eventually beating them. While me, I was never interested in helping the factions. They threatened, flattered and even tried to bargain with me. I only wanted one thing, but they chose not to, thinking me a weak and pathetic pervert. They hated me, they always hated me, so I created the droid faction and took revenge, alongside my generals, as we destroyed Grigori, and eventually we attacked several other factions as well. Concept Issei spoke with a growl, knowing how much of a pain his factions were. Concept Issei remembered his Akeno threatening him. He retaliated back by dealing with them himself. He eventually fought back against those that were bargaining and even begging them, but he refuses to help them. They still hate him and only leave him alone out of fear. Eventually Ingvald and Valerie come to know when Office and Great Red reveal to them that Issei was the creator and progenitor of the droid faction. Wait, why did you create the droid faction? Auden asked with dread in his voice, as Issei spoke. I saw the supernatural to be uncaring for humanity. My experiences with them were prime examples of that, and eventually I decided it had to go, and I gave them many chances to change their ways, but they did not. The factions were fearful of this Issei. Well, Reset Issei had an eye on him. He hoped that he did not wish to harm this universe's version of the faction leaders. Don't tell me, my counterpart did. Something stupid. Concept Issei looked at him and spoke with a smile. You did, you all did. And you all suffered because of that. The faction leaders hated their stupidity of their counterparts which turned them into the faction, destroying being that he was. Zalgo then spoke continuing his story. While I decided to keep my distance from my parents, they wanted to believe in me, but that did not happen, and after that my life has gotten better, but you can thank my Rias, she wanted to get back at me and ruined everything I held dear. That day I snapped and lashed out at everyone, my abusive parents, the Kendo Club and finally most the Gremory peerage, except Kiba. Zalgo remembered on how his parents told him that they would trust him, only for that to turn to a lie as his life was ruined by Ria's Gremory. He snapped and took revenge against those that harmed him, as Serziches soon imprisoned the peerage, not willing to deal with them. Don't tell just how bad your Ria's was. The three Isseis looked at him and spoke. Not as bad as these two post-reset, but still a bit annoying. Reset Issei spoke as Concept Issei responded. I wish to crush her throat at every step. Zalgo nodded in agreement as Serziches frowned at Ria's. She was not much different from her counterpart. He pinched the bridge of his nose in frustration as he asked. And I take it none of your Serziches stopped her? Concept Issei shook his head and spoke. He was a Siskin. Nothing more, nothing less. Serziches sighed as he looked at the other two, with Reset Issei speaking. For me, he punished Ria's immediately after hearing his actions. She became better but was still annoying. Zalgo responded with a serious tone, same, albeit she did not improve, unlike his version. I see. Serziches spoke, as he and his family made the vow to fix her attitude by any means necessary. Reset Issei then continued his story. Many of my friends unlocked their soul traits, which includes Arthur, Asia and Gasper to name a few. With their help, we managed to fight off against the Khaos Brigade, and eventually against the ExE universe, that wanted our universe thanks to Rizevim. I killed their leader, thus ending the conflict. Normally I don't kill, but when Great Red was almost killed, all bets were off. Issei explained his story. His friends are seen using the soul traits to fight off against the EXE outer gods, as they give their power to the evil true outer god Rizevim, where he faces off against him in space. He finally kills him for good, where he falls exhausted as he was helped up by Azrael. He was taken to the hospital where he recovered after a very long time. In the aftermath, we sent drones to outer space to prepare for any invasions, magical drones that send us real live time footage and magic circles to show us everything in the universe. That was how I found out about Remnant. The scene changes to the faction leaders agreeing on sending on the drones, unanimously due to the EXE outer gods, such that a repeat of this invasion does not happen again. They eventually go into different planets with one heading to Remnant. Is that how you know me? John asked with a tone of surprise as Issei nodded. Yes, I do, and I also know your planet does not have space technology to do so, that is why. How are you all here? Issei spoke to John, Jade, Ruby, Yang and Yuri, all of whom belonged to a different planet entirely, which Issei recognized as Jade, walked forward and spoke. We all were trapped in the backrooms except for Yuri, and then we all decided to head to Issei's world in the aftermath, since John hated his old world due to Issei cuts her off and speaks. Making his way into a prestigious school, being bullied by his peers, disowned by the Arc clan and them screwing into his life. Yeah, I think I had a feeling this would happen. Issei spoke with a sad tone, as John was surprised. It seemed like his universe's version of John also had suffered a lot. Even the others were surprised by this as well. Concept looked at John wondering if there is someone that existed in his world, as he thought. I wonder if I have a John just like these two have. And if he has suffered. Concept Issei narrows his gaze as he speaks. I will gladly help him if he has suffered and make his world pay. Back with John as he spoke angrily. Yeah, that is pretty accurate. My siblings never wanted me to be a huntsman, and they disowned me for a crime of faking my way in. I got revenge against them by ruining them completely. They value their reputation more than their family, so I destroyed them completely. Jade and the rest of Issei's peerage calmed him down, as Issei spoke with a sigh. I see, and did they even kill Yuri's parents as well? Many were surprised by this, as Yuri asked in shock. Don't tell me, even my counterparts suffer from this. Issei nodded, making Yuri grit her teeth in anger, as Issei continued. Yep, and the worst part is, from what my John told me, they hunted you down and almost killed you as well. They were Balder and Kranz. Yuri felt dread at this, as John pulled her closer making her blush. John was beyond livid, and what the Arcs, especially Balder and Kranz. Even those from the Haidu peerage and the faction leaders were angered by this. The Arc clan was truly a bunch of monsters, under the so-called elders. After that, you went full ballistic, consumed by your hatred, killed anyone that stood in your way, and almost destroyed Remnant. John now lost his anger and became horrified at what his counterpart had done. As Yuri and John's loved ones became increasingly worried, they couldn't blame him for what had happened to him. Thankfully I and my friend stopped him, and we managed to save John with that universe's Yuri and John resetted the timelines, restoring everything back to normal. Last I checked, he was doing fine with Yuri. Many sighed in relief while Yuri was happy that her counterpart saved her lover's life, as she would have also done the same. John was relieved that everything went back to normal. What about us? Yang asked Issei, to which he responded. Unfortunately you three hated John, and you made his life miserable and have suffered in the aftermath. Jade, Yang and Ruby hated their counterparts for abandoning John and making his life miserable, as his Issei assured her that everything was fine. She still felt sad for doing this to her brother. John meanwhile calmed his two girls down, with Summer also joining in as well. Ingvold and Ravel were saddened to see how much different the three were from them. Meanwhile, Concept Issei gritted his teeth in anger, as he thought. What kind of a family is this? Even mine still had some care for me, despite the fraudulent lies spread against me. He only committed fraud, and his punishment was that if I was in John's place, I would have brought that family to extinction. They don't deserve to see the light of day. Concept Drake nodded in agreements. I could not agree anymore. I would destroy their souls no matter what happens. He soon takes a deep breath to calm himself down, as he started to speak his past. So should I continue? The others nodded as they wondered why Concept Issei became the faction-destroying person he was today. Getting back to my story, I exposed I for the fraud he was and soon walked out. Since I already unsealed Nyx and took her home, I was still unwelcomed, and even after that, the only reason they tolerated me was because I was powerful, and they did not want to anger me. They still did not want me near them. The scene changed to Nyx being released from her prison, much to the faction leaders' anger and sadness, as Concept Issei takes charge and forces them to have a fight against Dai, which they reluctantly agree. However, despite this, he was not welcome in his own home until he exposed Dai, where the faction leaders were filled with despair, knowing that their hope was a fraud. He soon walked away, leaving the audience horrified. Even then, things just didn't change, they still wanted me to help, selling off their girls to me, not caring for what they think. I kept pushing onwards, seeing no change in their nature, crashed a party with Malak's help and eventually destroyed heaven as well, along with the sacred gear systems. I unintentionally brought down the attention of someone else, which was the god tribe. The scene changes to the girls, namely Athena, Elizabeth, Marana, Artemis, Laisha and Sikvera, all in despair crying due to what the faction leaders did to them. They sold them away, as Concept Issei looked in anger, with him destroying the Yaokai faction, Pendragon residence, crashing a party, and finally taking down the heaven as well. As a blonde-haired goddess comes to his residence, demanding him to work for him. In the aftermath, they were dealt with and killed for what they did. No one was spared and they were killed. Eventually the onslaught increased. God Ain Lucifuge and the Malabranches my allies, and eventually fought the last of my enemies, revealing myself to everyone during the Norse onslaught. But what sped up their demises was them going after my loved ones. All was over after that. The only one that I spared was the Hindu factions, and ignored the others remained in hiding. They refused to come out, and if they did, I can deal with them. Even my birth family was not spared. Concept Issei spearheads the assault against the god tribe, wiping them all out. He soon releases Ain and helps her with her illness. He does this with Malakota as well, and the rest of her Malabranch as well. He soon continues the invasion, wiping out the Norse gods, while revealing himself, and he continues to do so with the Olympians, the Shinto gods, vampires and finally the remnants of the other factions and the devils. He heard of them going after Artes and his unborn child, and that was when everything was to be dealt with. They deserved death after this. Only after that, we could remain in peace. With them being wiped out, I personally killed my Surziches. Concept Issei faces against Concept Surziches before ultimately killing him, thus ending the war. Only stragglers remained after that as he killed them all one by one, leaving no remnants. You killed me? Surziches spoke with horror as Concept Issei responded. I told you, you were the worst in my reality, and I doubt he would change. He got what was coming for him, including their demises. I showed no mercy, not even to the young ones as well. Concept Issei spoke coldly, as Grafia and Yusaka brought their children closer in worry that this Issei will kill them. They hated their counterparts for making them like that. In the meanwhile, Milikas felt dread knowing a version of his hero was evil and cruel, and so was Kuoh. She hated a version of Issei acting like this, and all this happened because their counterparts believed in Dai, a fraud and a traitor. So you even killed Kuoh? And Issei's parents? Yusaka asked with fear as Concept Issei nodded as he spoke. When I meant no mercy was present after what they did to me. Yusaka knew that her Issei will never turn out to be like this one, as she hated her counterpart for being the reason why her daughter and her faction is dead. I can't believe this. They changed you into a monster. Sayerg spoke with anger in his voice. He wanted to punch his Concept counterpart really hard for what he had done to Issei. That is how it is. Concept Issei spoke with a serious tone as he continued, I just hope that none of you treat your Issei like you all did to me. No, we won't. I will never treat my little brother like your Surziches did. All the leaders agreed to Surziches who had spoken, Yusaka being the most. She will never lose someone like her lover, no matter what happens. I will see to that, Surziches. Concept Issei spoke with a serious tone as he looked at his counterpart who was on guard, which he couldn't blame. He was the pillar of the factions, unlike his brother. He knew that this universe was different, but how different, that was something time would tell. So basically you are a villain version of Issei? Summer asked with worry as Issei shook his head and responded. I prefer the term anti-hero. Many looked at him in surprise at first, but then thought that he had decent intentions, as Zalgo then spoke. Now I will get to mine. Zalgo started to speak, gathering everyone's attention as he continued. Very well then, after that the peace meeting happened, the very same meeting where Vali thought it was a good idea to betray the leaders and join the Khaos Brigade. I snapped again and almost went on a ballistic rampage, but the leaders did not want to kill me, nor they could have killed me even if they wanted me to. However, thanks to someone special, I returned back to my normal life. The scene changes to Zalgo fighting against his allies due to his terrible past, but was restrained by Slenderman as many decided to talk it out, helping him recover. All this happened was because of the betrayal of Vali who turned on them. He wanted to fight stronger opponents. He was almost killed with him being imprisoned later on by the faction leaders, and then things became better for Issei. His name was cleared and it became even more better for him. So I take it your Vali is a guy? Valerie asked with surprise as Zalgo nodded and spoke, yep, he is. Same for me, he is also a guy. He is going to have a mental breakdown when he sees a female version of him. Hey, are you dating your Issei? Valerie immediately became flustered at this, as she looked away with a red tint, causing Issei to also look away, while Jade, Ingvald, Ravel and Yusaka look at Issei with slight jealousy, something he fails to notice. I got my answer, even better. Concept Issei looked at this and huffed away. He decided to stay quiet on this topic, as Azazel was amused. He wondered how his adoptive daughter's male counterpart would react from seeing this. While the others were sweat-dropping seeing this interaction, they noted that Reset Issei was just like a jolly older version of the Issei they love. They had only many similarities. Aside from that, many felt sad by Zalgo's past, as they hated what their parents and sister did to Zalgo. They hoped that they never meet again. After that, I was working in my home on some of the paperwork when a portal suddenly opened up and I was sucked into it before traveling here. Reset Issei spoke with a normal tone, as Yang asked. So you two were also sent here as well? The other two Isseis nodded as Concept was playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe before he was sucked here, and same went for Zalgo. Both Reset Issei and Concept Issei crashed onto the ground, while Zalgo hovered normally. What should we call you? We can't just call you Issei, right? Ajuka spoke with a serious tone, as Reset Issei spoke. Call me Reset. For me, just Concept. Concept Issei spoke with a neutral tone. And I told you Zalgo, I don't go by my old name anymore. Zalgo spoke with a smile, as they all nodded in understanding, as Azazel had a grin and spoke with a mischievous smile. So, who are you all dating? Surziches looked at Azazel and spoke, are we really doing this? Nah, I am curious, I wonder if Issei is the harem king of the multiverse. This got even the girls of Issei's love interest intrigued by this, as Jade asked with curiosity. I am curious too, I wonder if there is an alternate version of me dating that Issei. Jade's words made even the other girls curious, as Reset Issei spoke with a smile. Fine, I will tell who I am dating. For me it is Yusaka, Seraphol, Sona, Asia, Roswis and Kuroka, along with Rainer of my universe. The audience went silent. Yusaka became beet red when she heard her counterpart was dating that Issei, with Kunu being a little jealous, but was happy that Issei in her universe was her father. Same went for Seraphol and Roswis, both of whom had red tint on their cheeks. What? Everyone shouted minus Yusaka, Roswis, Seraphol and Kunu, as they were still under their trance. Jade then spoke with a tone of shock. I don't believe this, she hates Issei so much that she would torment and torture him no matter, she did this to me and my troops. And I will never forgive her for that. Jade's tone changes into sorrow as she remembered on how Rainer tormented her, with Issei calming her down. He knew how much that event has affected her, as Reset knew what kind of a person Rainer was before pre-reset, he herself hated that Rainer, and she became worse. His harem is really well diverse, ain't it? Azazel commented, to which Auden responded. Yep, the boy's counterpart is really lucky for this. Auden added his own words as well, while Surziches sighed knowing this to happen. Ingvald, Valerie and Ravel were jealous of Yusaka, as they wondered if there was anyone that the other Isseis would be dating their counterparts, as Azazel looked towards Concept and spoke. What about you? Sure, I will tell. For me, it is Nyx, Artemis, Athena, Quinella Asmodeus, Charlotte Beelzebub, Mocha Yura Akashia, Mocha Amaka Akashia, Miyuki Citri, Izanami, Laisha Astaroth, Sikvera Gares, Ain Lucifuge, Marana Shiratova, Elizabeth Lyons and finally Gondel. The audience was once again silent at this. Sona and Seraphol wondered who Miyuki was, while the Gremorys were happy for Ain as well. They knew what she had gone through after the Devil Civil War. Holy shit. Your harem is jam-packed. Concept, although who are half of the people. The Mocha sisters are vampires, or dampers to be precise. Quinella and Charlotte are similar to Ingvald and Vali, they are half-devils. Then Miyuki is the youngest daughter of the Citrus, while Lane is Graphia's younger sister. The others, I think you know them. Concept Issei spoke while looking toward Sona and Seraphol as Seraphol asked. How was I to Miyuki? She does not exist here, so. Can you tell me? Concept Issei spoke with a sigh. You were the polar opposite. The best way I can describe is that you were jealous of Miyuki and made her childhood miserable. Same goes for Sona. The Seraphol was horrified by this revelation, as Surziches spoke. I hope you don't have a sister hidden, have you? Seraphol shook her head and spoke. No, we don't, and we would never do what your Seraphol did to Miyuki. Surziches nodded as he spoke. Very well, I trust you. Seraphol did not say anything. She hated what her counterpart did to her sister, as Roswis remained in disbelief. Her student's counterpart was dating her grandmother. This is impossible in her eyes, since her grandmother refused to take on her lover after her grandfather tragically passed away in war. But even then, his harem has variety: vampires, devils, angels, gods, primordials and half-devils. Auden commented, amused by Concept's harem, as Zalgo then spoke. Alright, I will get to mine. Zalgo then spoke as he gathered everyone's attention. The girls that loved Issei hope to be on their list. For me, it is Ravel, Claire and Asia. So you too, huh, nice. Reset Issei spoke with happiness, knowing that even he is dating his Asia, as it was Ravel's turn to become a blushing mess, as Valerie, Jade, who had calmed down and Ingvald were jealous of Ravel as she exclaimed. Yes. I got in. Ravel exclaimed cheerfully as she soon reverted to her normal self, while realizing that she had to compete with her older sister Claire as well. She couldn't appear at the meeting due to work. Anyways, so what should now? The Khaos Brigade knows of this, and from what I know Rizevim would be behind the collider as well. Some of the people in the audience knew who the man was, as Concept then spoke. Yeah, the man, knowing how chaotic he is, wants to prove that devils are nothing but mean-spirited beings, and with him still alive here, he is going to be a problem. Wait, you mean Rizevim is the mastermind of the whole situation? Azazel asked with surprise, earning a nod from the three. As Zalgo spoke, I have been watching Rizevim of this universe for a while, so I know he will be a problem. I already know he was planning to make his move soon enough. I would advise you to eliminate that bastard, otherwise it will be a repeat telecast of what happened in my world. Concept Issei nodded in agreement as he stopped his Hades from sending the message, as Azazel in his anger destroyed a nearby wall with just one punch. Many were startled by this, while Reset Issei spoke. Was expecting that to happen. Azazel angrily spoke, that damn bastard, he did not stop making Vali's life miserable, and now he wants to destroy the multiverse. Is that why he tried to kidnap Jade? Valerie flinched upon this, as she clenched her fists in anger, as Issei knew Valerie had a rough childhood. He will never forgive this Rizevim for making her life miserable. Yes, Azazel, he did so. And wants to do it. Zalgo spoke seriously as Reset Issei spoke in a serious tone. We need to locate him and take him down. Azazel, I know you are mad, but for now, our focus is to deal with Hades. He needs to answer to the Grim Reaper and Sam will attack on us. Surziches spoke seriously as Azazel looked at him and calmed down. As Azazel spoke, let's go. Wait. The one who exclaimed was Concept Issei, much to everyone's surprise, as the two looked at him and asked, yes. I am coming too. I can talk with Hades, since I know a few things only he does. So let me talk to him. Concept Issei spoke with an assuring tone, as the two men looked at him and spoke, very well, you can come. Concept. It was a risk, but if it works, maybe Concept Issei can stop Hades' attacks without actually forcing a fight, but if it does not, it would be bloody and aggressive, knowing Concept Issei's aggression. The three men soon teleported to Hades' domain, leaving the others alone, as Ajuka spoke in everyone's stead and responded. I would suggest to everyone to rest. Today has been quite a day for you, so it would be wise if you all head back. Ajuka's words were agreed by everyone as many teleported back to their homes to sleep for the day, leaving only Issei and his peerage, Yuri, along with Reset Issei and Zalgo, as Jade asked. How are we going to explain this to Mom, Dad and Marini? The Isseis looked at each other as they did not have an answer, but they had to figure something out. Even the others did not understand on how they are going to explain this to the parents of Issei, as Issei spoke. We will figure something out. Issei spoke unsure of what he is going to say. They could only hope that things don't get rough. Scene change. Haidu residence, 2 a.m. The Haidu parents and older sister were surprised by what they had been informed. Even Concept's actions were informed as they decided to not keep it a secret, with them being worried that their own son had killed them in a different reality that made the shudder and be saddened by grief, as they vowed to never be like their Concept counterparts. They were still stunned by this revelation. Even Mary hated her parents and siblings for the sole reason of making Concept the way he is. So let me get this straight, you two are alternate versions of my brother? Mary asked with a tone of surprise as both Reset Issei and Zalgo nodded. Yes, we are Mom, Dad, and you must be Marini, that your Issei told me about. Mary, Goru and Mickey nodded as Goru spoke. Reset and Zalgo, right. Goru spoke with a tone of surprise as they nodded with Zalgo and Reset Issei speaking. Yes, Dad. Goru spoke with a smile, you two are still alternates of my son, you need not be worried about visiting here, you can stay here for as long as you like, this is your home as well. Goru is right, you both are welcome here, and Zalgo, I apologize for what your parents and sister did to you. Zalgo shook his head and spoke, you needn't apologize for their doings, and you are a good older sister, Mary. The hiatus gave a smile, as Mary spoke. Oh, and once I meet this Masami, can I have a talk with her? Mary spoke with a sweet smile, making John, Issei and Reset Issei shudder. Despite only knowing her for a few moments, he knew that she was not someone to mess with. Zalgo was unaffected, while the girls minus Summer were on the edge as Zalgo spoke. I will think about it. Mary nodded in understanding as Goru spoke, you all should head off to sleep, it has been a long day for you, and it is also pretty late. The others nodded in agreement as everyone soon headed to sleep in their rooms, with Issei being joined in his bed by Jade, Valerie, Ingvild and Ravel, and John, with the same with Yuri, Yang and Ruby. They all knew tomorrow is another day, as they had to search for the remaining 5 alternates of Issei that are in this world. Realm of Hades, 3:30 a.m. Surziches, Azazel and Concept Issei were looking the skeleton god with a glare as Surziches spoke calmly, it has been a while. It is I, Satan Lucifer from the underworld, Surziches at your service. the god of the realm of the dead, Lord Hades. I'm very sorry for the sudden visit. Serzich's knew concept Issei's ruthless nature, and he knew that even he couldn't stop the faction destroyer even if he wanted to. However, he sensed concept Issei not in his armor, meaning he had thought of something. He could only hope that things don't go intense. Hades, on the other hand, gritted his teeth in anger seeing his opponents. Fighting against Serzich's is one thing, but fighting against this variant of the Red Dragon Emperor, who took down the Jabberwocky without much effort, is really something. He couldn't even possibly imagine what else he is capable of. And since you have been watching us, then you know what this Issei here is capable of. Azazel spoke with a growl. His student and his adoptive daughter's life was in danger, and he was not going to forgive him that easily. Well, concept Issei only hoped that he could reason with his father figure of this world. He vividly remembered what kind of a person his Hades was before, and he wondered if he could reason with him. We have a few questions. Hope you don't mind answering them. Serzich's spoke seriously as Hades had no choice but to relent. He couldn't fight against both Serzich's and concept Issei at the same time, the latter of which, whose aura gave Hades complete chills, knowing what he is capable of. Fine, I will talk. Yes, I won't deny what I did. I was the one who sent the Grim Reapers, and Samuel, they're happy. Serzich's, Azazel and concept Issei looked at him, as Azazel responded. So why did you do it? Hades narrowed his gaze, as he pointed towards concept Issei, the latter having an idea on what the Greek god of underworld was going to say. Hades roared in response. It is because of beings like him, he is not meant to be here. Longinus users are the real threat to this world. He is a real threat to this world, and beings like this should be destroyed. Hades shouted angrily, as he fired a Greek magic blast, as Serzich's and Azazel were worried, as concept Issei narrowed his gaze and easily evaded the attack. Heh. It seems like he is truly a weak alternative. Hades exclaimed in an arrogant manner, however before he could continue, he felt a very strong stabbing pain in his abdomen. He looked to see concept Issei in his obelisk armor, stabbing him with a mortis blade. Are you sure I am weak? Concept Issei spoke coldly, as Serzich's and Azazel were shocked by this Issei's sheer speed, as Issei pulled out the mortis blade. He knew that the Hades from this world is not the same as the one of his world, since he could neither see his daughters Melano and Macaria around. But he did not want to harm him any further. If he wanted to, he would have aimed it towards the heart or the head. Additionally, he only kept for a very short time, as opposed to how he usually did. Hades' wound seared in pain. He tried to use magic to respond, but concept Issei coldly spoke, don't bother, it is God-slaying magic, and although I did not leave the blade inside for longer, it would still take effect. You. Hades growled in response, as he staggered to the ground. Azazel and Serzich's walked towards him, stunned by this Issei's ferocity, as Azazel asked. Was that really necessary? Concept Issei looked at him and spoke. He was not going to listen to reason that easily, so had to. Anyways, what are you going to do now, Concept? Serzich's asked with confusion as he looked at Hades, who was gritting his teeth in pain and anger, with Concept Issei looking at him coldly, and spoke, the effects of the poison should go away, and don't bother fighting back, I can take you down without much efforts. What do you want? Hades spoke with a growl, to which Concept Issei responded, I know for a sure reason that is not why you want to eliminate Longinus users, after all, I know exactly why you want Longinus users dead. Serzich's and Azazel looked at this Issei wondering what he knew about Hades, while Hades could only glare at concept Issei, however what he said shocked everyone. Does the name Persephone mean anything to you? Hades, Serzich's and Azazel became surprised by this. With the Greek god of the underworld, the trio could see Hades having tears in his eyes. He still dearly missed his wife, as concept Issei spoke, however his tone was sadder remembering what had happened, while Serzich's and Azazel looked at each other. They never knew what happened to Persephone, and ever since she vanished, Hades has been that way ever since. You do, good. That means you are almost sort of similar to my Hades. I know she was killed by the wielder of the true Longinus, yet here you are helping the said wielder of the Longinus. What would she think about you? The husband that was once a kind man is turning into a monster. Tell me, Hades, what would she think of you? Concept Issei tried to reason with him, hoping that he wouldn't have to kill his adoptive father. However, Hades only glared at him as he shouted, how do you know about her? Concept Issei removed his helmet and spoke with a gentle smile, cause in my reality, you and your wife took me in and gave me love and care, only which real parents do that. You didn't care if I was not related by blood. That is why, it is not worth doing this. What would Persephone think of you? Hades lost his anger and looked down. He could already see Persephone looking down towards him in utter disgust, knowing what he was doing. While Azazel and Serzich's were truly surprised, from the most aggressive Issei, the last thing they expected was to see a soft side of him. He was still an Issei at the end of the day, but his soft side, they thought it to be gone due to their counterparts, but they never knew it would be still present. My own parents and siblings never cared for me, they weren't there for me at my lowest, but you know who was there. It was you and your family, and that is why I will always be grateful to you and your family. That is why, stop this while you still can. Concept Issei's tone was more pleading, as Hades started to realize the consequences of his actions, but before anything could happen, a magic circle suddenly opened up underneath Hades and teleported him before they could react. What the Azazel exclaimed with surprise, as Surziches understood what was going on, he looked at Issei, who clenched his fists in anger. No, Concept Issei shouted. He recognized the symbol on the magic circle and knew it was Nyx's doing, as he growled with anger. Damn it, Nyx. You just had to make this harder. So that means. Azazel spoke with a tone of worry, to which Concept Issei spoke. Yep, Nyx is involved. This situation got a lot more fucked up than it already has been. I see. I will contact Lord Zeus as soon as possible, and worry not, Concept, he is a good person, unlike your Zeus. Concept Issei responded, I shall see for that myself. Azazel, can you arrange for a hotel room? I would rather not go into that house for the time being. I see. You still think they would be reluctant on letting you in, right? Concept Issei nodded as he spoke. Yeah, would you help me in that? Very well, follow me, but in the morning you got to meet them there, due to what has happened here. Concept Issei nodded as the trio left the realm of Hades to settle for the night. Scene change. Haidu residence, 9:30 am. Issei was in the room, along with the rest of his peerage. He had informed Jade about what Shiva had told him, with Jade responded with worry in her voice. And why did you not tell me this? I was going to do so once the event ends, I didn't want to ruin it. Jade looked at him and nodded. She knew that everything went completely south when the Khaos Brigade, primarily the hero faction, decided to screw this up and destroy the Super Collider, thus causing this whole crisis to even begin with. Jade then spoke with a sigh. I see. So what happened after we slept? Yang then responded. I guess Concept went along with Teach and Lord Lucifer to deal with him. Yang spoke the last part with a bit of annoyance, as Summer responded. I know, dealing with Hades can be problematic. If Azrael made our life miserable, then we can be facing even bigger threats. Summer's words were agreed by the rest of Issei's peerage, while Issei wondered when he will be able to use that form once again, and would it even help against someone like Hades and his allies. Regardless, we should rest for a while, before we start looking for the other 5 Isseis. Ingvild added, to which everyone nodded in understanding, as Ravel responded. But how are we going to locate all of them? John shook his head and spoke. Maybe Reset, Concept or Zalgo may have located them. They are already stated to be very powerful. One of them has the Beast of Apocalypse as an ally, other can create any sacred gear, and don't even get me started on Zalgo. That I presume is fair. Issei spoke with a sigh, as he pondered. I wonder what other Isseis are doing roaming around on Earth. That is where, I am afraid you are wrong. My younger self. The peerage turned around to see Zalgo and Reset Issei, both looking at them in a confused manner. As Issei asked, what do you mean, if they are not on Earth, where else could they be? Issei is right. Where are they then? Reset Issei and Zalgo shook their heads, and Reset Issei spoke. Zalgo did a planet-wide scan locating for anyone with the same gene type or having the boosted gear as all of us did. But there were no matches. The Haidu peerage were concerned by this revelation, as Summer asked. Then where are they? Zalgo looked at Summer and spoke. They are here in this universe, that is for sure, but where exactly they are is something we have yet to find. And the universe is big, Summer, like really big, even if it does have boundaries, so finding them will take some time, a day or two at most, hopefully. Zalgo nodded in agreement, as many sighed in relief. They had to act quickly to locate those Isseis, otherwise this could become problematic. For now, I think our best course of action is to not rush the situation and relax. Zalgo spoke in an understanding tone, as the Haidu peerage seemed to agree with the demon god's words, as they all headed out, while the dregs of all universes pondered if the other Isseis have them as well, as their partners. The group soon settled down, as Yuri Winterflake, Mary, Roswis and the Haidu couple also joined them. Yuri had decided to stay on Earth in the aftermath of what happened to her parents in Remnant, and on how the Arcs will make her a target if she was still present. They did not trust the Arc clan and knew they were going to be a problem. So Reset, would you tell me more about your world? The monster faction and your younger sister Chara? Mary asked, to which Reset Issei spoke. I would love to. Okay, so Chara is my adoptive younger sister. She is actually similar to me, but is actually bloodthirsty when it comes to battle. And yes, she does have the same soul trait as I did. Reset Issei spoke with a smile, as he continued. She was once known as Chara Dreamer, but after coming to our place, she changed her last name to mine, and that is what has been going on. She is in a relationship with my universe's Udo Kiba, and he stood up against Ria's as well, before her change that is. So was she better in the change? Summer asked, to which Issei spoke, I'd say she is better than your Rias, and I don't think that is a high standard to be set. Well, at least she is not a headache. Jade mused, to which Issei responded, yep. Speaking of which, Trihexa actually wanted to have a word with you. Issei brought out the boosted gear. While some were nervous knowing it was the Beast of Apocalypse, others were curious, knowing that this Trihexa was good, as a gruffy voice spoke from the gear. Greetings, my name is Buzz Lightyear, I come in peace. The voice was mimicked by the Beast of Apocalypse, as many were surprised by this. They soon sweat dropped at Trihexa's attitude, as he asked, did I do well, Issei? You did amazing, try. Issei cheered for Trihexa, as many pondered how did a beast whose simple-minded goal was to destroy everything became like this, as Trihexa responded. Either way, it was nice to meet you. I decided to live my life with Issei, and it has been the best choice ever. Anyways, Bell, right, what happened after you joined Issei? Issei's boosted gear was the next to speak as Bell responded. Likewise, mine became better when I joined the survivor group. Usually I lived a lonely existence, but I have been better ever since. Bell responded with a smile. Many seemed to be more accepting of her ever since she joined Issei and his group and traversing into the backrooms. Speaking of which, does anybody know the location of the other Isseis? Mary asked, to which Zalgo responded, not yet, although we know that they are not in the planet. They are in this universe, that is for sure. Issei spoke, to which the others seemed to nod in agreement. However, a magic circle opened up revealing Surzich's, Azazel, Concept Issei and another person. He was described to be a blonde male with light-skinned male, almost as white as snow, if not even more whiter than that. He wore traditional Norse robes and a Valkyrie helmet. The Norse robes were white in color, with some traces of gold. This was Heimdall, one of the Norse gods. I hope I am not intruding in any way. Surzicha spoke with a smile, as Issei responded, no, not at all. Well then, everyone, meet Heimdall, the Norse god of foresight and vigilance. He has decided to help us locate where the other Isseis are. Heimdall soon walked forward as he spoke. Greetings, resident of the Haidu house, the name's Heimdall, one of the Aesir, and like Lord Lucifer spoke, I am the Norse god of foresight and vigilance. It is a pleasure to meet you all in person. Heimdall greeted them as he scanned two other Isseis, as he thought. Let's hope you aren't the same as this ray of sunshine. Heimdall spoke while glancing at Concept Issei. He was well briefed on Concept Issei's past and actions, and knew that aside from his Issei, the others are pretty strong. The pleasure is all ours, Lord Heimdall, and Heimdall responds to Issei and speaks. Please call me Heimdall, Seker Uite. And same goes for the rest of you as well. The others nodded as Issei asked, then Heimdall, what can you tell us, where are they? Zalgo, right, Heimdall spoke looking at the demonic dragon god, who responded, yeah. Have you tried to locate the other Isseis on Earth? Zalgo nodded and spoke, indeed Heimdall, that I did, but they are nowhere on Earth. Expand your search, try locating them in the universe. Zalgo responded with a sigh, I could, but it would take me a day or two. At most. Try scanning specific locations where you have been in, perhaps Remnant or the Backrooms might help. Here, let me assist you. Heimdall's words made many wide-eyed, wondering how those 5 Isseis are present in those locations, especially the Backrooms, knowing that entering there is done by sheer coincidence. Heimdall transferred some of his magic to Zalgo, which added more to his never-ending arsenal. It enhanced his foresight, which allowed him to locate where the Isseis are. Found them? Zalgo exclaimed as many became surprised, as Ruby responded, where? Where are they? I have found 3 signatures, all 2 relating to Issei Haidu, and 2 having the same as the Red Dragon Emperor. They are all in Remnant. Those from Remnant became surprised, as Azazel spoke, I will contact Osbin as soon as possible, we will start the portal location and head there, stat. Azazel teleported out of there, leaving the others still stunned by the fact that 3 managed to head to Remnant, or 2 with what Zalgo says, and one of them being the Red Dragon Emperor. Everyone, we will leave in 3 hours, locating those Isseis and bringing them here is a priority, you all will need to be ready for this one. The others nodded in understanding, while those from Remnant seemed concerned, especially Jade and John, who were not sure about how to deal with this situation. Neither were interested to come back to Remnant, but they knew that they would have to bring those Isseis back to this world. However, while this was going on, the Haidu couple and Mary walked towards Concept Issei as he spoke. What is it that you 3 want? Mary walked forward and spoke with a tone full of nervousness and concern, is it true, did you really kill Mom and Dad? I won't deny what I have done, I did kill them. Concept Issei spoke with his gaze narrowed. Many were concerned on what Mary is going to do, while the Haidu couple looked down in sadness, knowing that their own son ended up being the one who took their lives. As Concept Issei spoke, I have no intention of doing the same to this universe's Haidu family, so you need not worry. I see. Little brother. I guess, I can't say for certain that I am angry at what you did to my parents' counterparts, but considering what you went through, I hated the fact that you had to go this far. Concept Issei spoke with a sigh. They weren't my parents in any way, they abused me and neglected me for so long, not even having a shred of love for me. Hades and his family showed me the love that I was denied for, due to so long. Mary looked at him and spoke with a concerned tone, is that why you wanted to go and talk to him? Concept Issei nodded and spoke, yes, he still misses his wife, and I can only hope he does not go down a path which will involve his death. His heart and mind is still clouded by vengeance, and I don't want to see him in that condition. Mary understood this and spoke. I see, and this Dai and Aika, they didn't care for you in any way. Concept Issei looked at her and spoke. Not in the slightest, Dai is the reason why I became the way I am, and Aika, she is worse than Zalgo's sister, Masami. Zalgo nodded in agreement as Goru, who was silent, spoke. I see. Concept, listen, I am not going to treat my Issei like my counterpart has done. Mickey spoke in agreement, I agree, they don't have the right to call him his parents, with their actions that they have done, we were told everything. And we are not happy in the slightest, same goes for our Zalgo counterparts. I know, your Issei being a polar opposite of mine is a notable example of that. Concept Issei spoke while looking towards Issei, as he soon speaks. I will be taking my leave, I need to prepare for heading towards Remnant. Concept Issei was about to teleport when Mickey spoke. Concept Issei turned around and asked, yeah. You are always welcome in this house, just like Zalgo and reset Issei. Concept Issei looked at her for a moment and nodded as he soon headed to assist Azazel in the informing the situation while others prepared to head towards Remnant. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Concept Issei training his counterpart on how to make sacred gears. In Remnant. Beacon Academy, 12:30 p.m. Issei and his peerage, Heimdall, Concept Issei, Zalgo, Reset Issei, Surziches, Azazel, Saffron Terracotta and Yuri Winterflake were all headed towards the academy, where they were greeted by Osbin and Glinda, as Osbin spoke. Greetings everyone and newcomers, I am Headmaster Osbin of the Beacon Academy, and it is nice to meet you all. This is Glinda Goodwitch Glinda Bows. Please follow me to my office where we can discuss on what needs to be done. The others soon follow Osbin as he takes them to his office, where many of the Beacon students start speaking. Look at that, the faker of Beacon. What is he doing here? One of the students speak, the other then shushes him. Do you know what those two did the last time to some students? Do you have a death wish? Another speaks, and another responds, and this time it was a female student. Let him try, we will send him beaten up just like before. Even his so-called allies can't stop us. Some students agree, while some of the students have a sinister look on their faces. Heimdall sarcastically comments, hearing everything. The others just either have frowns or have looks of annoyance, with Zalgo smiling at the students. These insects can't do anything to him, even if they wanted to. Overconfidence, arrogance and callousness. Chuckles, your students are really interesting, aren't they, Headmaster? Osbin only gives a sigh as some bad apples are still causing headaches to him and the staff as he speaks, you have no idea, Heimdall, the Norse god of vigilance, I come from the Norse pantheon of the kids' universe, and not the alternates before you ask. Osbin nodded, he did sense the magic in his body, and he was definitely a god, someone that could easily take him down if he wanted to. He highly doubted that the Arcs will be able to stop someone like Heimdall, but they will try due to their arrogance. They eventually reached the elevator as they were about to head upstairs when someone calls out to them, what is the meaning of this, Osbin? They all turn around to see Alex, as Jade hides behind Issei, so that she does not get noticed. She does not want to be noticed by Alex, not yet. John groans in annoyance, knowing his sister's arrogance, however he has a feeling that the other guests will deal with her if she becomes a handful. What do you want, Miss Arc? Osbin spoke while trying to hide his frustration, as Alex angrily demands. What are these murderers doing in Beacon Academy? They don't deserve to step foot here. Alex points towards John, Issei, Yuri, Ingvald and Summer, all of whom have a look of annoyance, as Azazel speaks with annoyance. Those murderers were providing justice to your so-called uncles, and that filthy excuse of an elder, who I am pretty sure have a shit ton of crimes, hiding underneath their filthy asses. Azazel's words made Alexandria annoyed. The fallen Governor General was getting really frustrated with John's twin and Jade's younger sister. He could see that they are nothing like them, not even Saffron is like that. He could see Saffron glaring at Alex for her attitude. As this was going on, Reset Issei and Concept Issei were having their own conversation, so she is the sorry excuse of John's sister, she is annoying even in my universe. Yeah. Maybe we should deal with her. Concept Issei turned to Osbin and spoke, should we kill her, Osbin? The world is better off without her. No, you may not. Let me handle this. Concept Issei cursed in response, fuck. I got this one, Concept. Headmaster Concept Issei and Osbin looked at him and nodded as John spoke. Alex, haven't you and the Arcs not learned anything? Oh right, you won't given my last encounter with my sperm and egg donor, along with that sorry excuse of my sister. Speaking of which, how is the clan dealing with its current reputation? Alex gritted her teeth in fury when she responded angrily, you have some nerve murdering one of my family members, bastard. That can be considered a crime, you know. It won't, since their death shed some light and investigations on how the clan has attacked innocent families, with Will's Arc being partially responsible. Isn't that right, Miss Arc? Glinda spoke seriously, to which Alex only responded. You are a threat that needs to be dealt with. Surziches then spoke with an annoyed tone. Do you really believe that you can take the Isseis and the factions down? Yes, do not underestimate me. Many rolled their eyes. The people are more than capable of wiping out our entire clan if they wanted to, as Zalgo spoke. Everyone, we have important matters to attend to than dealing with this arrogant child, let's go. The people present nodded as they were about to enter the elevator and move ahead. Alex then angrily shouted, wait, just who the hell do you think you are? Zalgo turned around to Alex, someone that can kill you in the blink of an eye, and plus, I have some very interesting stuff about your clan, including a certain batch of arcs that you love to keep hidden from the world. It would be a shame if word gets out on who your clan really is. Your reputation will get worsened. Try that and it will be your death. Alex growled, to which her team decided to join, which involved even more groaning from John and Issei. Nora looked at Issei and felt fear seeing that the monster that tormented her months ago was back, while Lai and Purah were completely fearful on seeing their former teammate here. Well, it's been a while, old friends. John spoke with a mocking tone as the trio glared at him in anger and hatred. And Alex, word of advice, don't mess with me or any of the Isseis, you will only speed up your clan's extinction. John spoke coldly as Alex shouted while bringing out her glaive, you bastard. Alex was charging only for a gust of wind to immediately send her flying as she shouted, looking at Zalgo, what did you do? I blinked, that is all. Alex growled, but before she could do something stupid, Concept Issei charged at her in Orbalisk armor, kicked her in the stomach, causing her to cough up saliva. He followed it up, choking her with his telekinesis, and spoke coldly and angrily, let me make it clear to you all. If you even think about harming my friends, all of you will face pain and suffering for eternity. You are all worthless, spineless beings that deserve death, and I won't hesitate to put you down where you stand, especially you. Concept Issei raises her up in the air, while releasing a choking aura that immediately staggers her team as they look on in fear of this monster that would immediately kill them without hesitation. John told me everything about this so-called family of yours. I have already taken down beings far stronger than you and your pathetic lowly humans, and if they get in our way, I will personally destroy every last remnant of this so-called family of heroes. Give this message to your clan, you damned rotten spy, mess with me or my allies, and I will destroy every last one of you. Concept Issei released Alex, who was gasping for air. She looked at Issei with complete fear as she ran as fast as she could in fear, followed up by Purah and the others. Concept Issei sighed and reduced his aura while speaking. Let's go. Concept Issei released his armor as none did not stop Concept Issei on dealing with Alex, since he was the most aggressive Issei amongst them, and Alex made the biggest mistake of provoking him. Scene change. Osbin and Glinda were well aware of the situation that had taken place, as Osbin had spoken, so you think 3 alternates of Mr. Haidu are present here? Yes, we do. Zalgo, would you explain them? Zalgo nodded to Surziches, who had spoken, and responded, certainly Surziches. Well, Osbin, when I sensed their presences, 2 of them were confirmed to be Issei Haidu, meaning that it is our alternate, however one of them did not possess the boosted gear. But there were 2 versions of the boosted gear that I could detect, one with another Issei and the other with someone else entirely, so we need to investigate who our third unknown person is. He could potentially be an Issei, but we need to confirm. Osbin nodded as he spoke, I see. So how do you plan on locating any of them? Glinda asked with concern, to which Reset Issei spoke, well, for starters, 2 of them, including the one potentially being an Issei, is a magic user, so with it we can detect, since the ones in Remnant are not known to have strong magic. No offense. None taken, but how do you plan on going after the one without magic? Osbin asked, to which Surziches responded, he will be somewhere in that location, like there will be a less amount of those creatures you call grim. I see. Osbin spoke, to which Zalgo responded, we can locate him, Osbin, you need not worry. Very well then, I will ask my huntsmen and huntresses to know to not provoke him, cause we aren't certain whether these Isseis can be aggressive or not, so it would be best if they don't provoke them. The others nodded in agreement as Summer spoke, that would be for the best. Zalgo. Summer looked at Zalgo, who immediately activated his abilities, and in a few moments he spoke. Found him, the one without the magic. He is in a location that has a lot of forest, I think it is Mistral. Osbin then spoke, then let's head there stat and make sure he is alright. I will prepare the bullhead and head to the location. Glinda spoke seriously, as Azazel responded, won't it be better if we can just teleport to that location? Oh right, forgot. Glinda spoke with an embarrassed tone, as some chuckled at her actions, making her even more embarrassed, as Zalgo spoke, I will probably teleport us to that location. Scene change. 1.5 hours ago. Groyery, Mistral, 11 AM. The man was wielding a chain in his hands. He was a tall, muscular man with mid-length straight black hair that reaches to his ears. His eyes are green. He wore a tight-fitting short-sleeved shirt, sports tan baggy training pants with a black belt weaved through the waist and black martial arts slippers. This was Hunter. Issei, the one that was accidentally summoned to this world, much to his shock and surprise. However, he quickly adjusted himself in the situation and could see himself surrounded by several Grim that belonged to Mistral. Come on you bastards. Show me what you got, Hunter. Issei exclaimed with a maniacal grin as he decided to summon his chain of 1,000 miles and attack the Baringels that were attacking him. They were easily bounded by the chain. They tried to break it but were unable to do so. Hunter. Issei was quick and elusive, bringing out his holy sword Ragnarok, a blade enough to even disintegrate and harm a super devil, as he spoke with a grin. I hope you fools don't disappoint me. Issei used the blade to quickly stab the Grim, which due to the blade's holy properties, harmed the Grim, which killed them easily. All too easy. Hunter. Issei soon saw a Grim that had a very unique look to its body. It was a horse-like creature with an equine main body and a skinless humanoid creature that was fused with it. Its forelegs were shaped like claws, and it had hooved hind legs that left a characteristic hoofprint. The humanoid body had long curved horns on its head, a mouth that looked almost sewn shut, and 2 long elastic arms each with 2 clawed fingers. On the back of the human torso were bony spikes along its spine, and a variety of weapons from previous battles stuck in it. It was the Knuckle of E, the one responsible for the fall of Oniyuri and Kuroyuri. You seem like a tough one. Hunter. Issei mused as he dashed at the Grim with blinding speeds, and responded. Hope you don't disappoint. The Knuckle of E gave a screeching roar, but Hunter. Issei was unaffected by the screams, as he immediately stabbed the horse in the neck, which caused it to roar in pain. In response, the Knuckle of E stretched its limbs and attacked Hunter. Issei, who easily dodged the attacks without much effort, he had a look of annoyance. Even his Tiamat was faster than this so-called destroyer of villages. He knew on how to deal with the Grim, but he decided to toy with the monster, instead of outright killing it. He used his chain and immediately surrounded the Knuckle of E with the chain of 1,000 miles. The chain wrapped around the Knuckle of E, making it completely unable to move, as Issei kept controlling the chain, and spun the chain, making it spin at very high speeds. The Knuckle of E was sent flying towards a nearby wall, causing it to take some serious damage. The Knuckle of E roared in anger and pain, as Hunter. Issei was merely toying with his prey, as he quickly brought out his empty blade of nothingness, as Hunter. Issei decided to kill the horse as quickly as possible, letting the rider of the Knuckle of E suffer. He kept his chain in his inventory. He immediately dashed towards the Knuckle of E, and before it could defend himself, he kept stabbing it over and over again in the neck and head as it roared in pain. It soon started to dissipate while the rider remained helpless, however it won't be defeated that easily. It started to flay its hands, with Hunter. Issei easily dodging the attacks without any problem. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Hunter. Issei stabbed the head of the rider with Ragnarok, as it soon started to close its eyes and dissipate. Hunter. Issei sighed in response, as he soon pondered on what he needed to next. However, just as he was about to recover, 2 projectiles attacked him, causing him to evade with ease. Alright, you can show yourselves now. Hunter. Issei spoke looking at the direction from where the attack came. He rested his Ragnarok on his shoulder, while he put his dagger in his pocket dimension. Oh, it seems like I have been found, huntsman. I have been watching you. The one who spoke was a pale young man with gold eyes and a brown ponytail, braided to resemble a scorpion's tail. He wears a white sleeveless jacket with leather belt strapped to it, along with white pants. His jacket is left open, exposing his bare chest, which is crisscrossed with prominent scars. His arms are covered with cream-colored bandages and leather vambraces. He also wears leather boots covering his entire shin with knee guards. On each earlobe is a silver ring-shaped earring, and near the top of his left ear is another matching earring. This was Tyrion Khaos, the infamous serial killer and a servant of Salem. Well, it's a shame that such strength cannot be let go. Alive. You will die tonight. Hunter. Issei seemed amused rather than afraid. This was not the first time someone attacked him, but most of the attacks are done in retribution of losing a loved one to him. However, him being hunted due to being a threat is rare, as he speaks. So you wish to fight? Well then. I hope you don't disappoint. Shame that you won't be getting out of this alive. Hunter. Issei spoke while getting ready for battle, while the psychotic serial killer geared up his weapons for the fight. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.